Hey, this is Adam Wynns, and this is The Winningest.
You are listening to The Winningest with Adam Wynns. Intelligent information from those that have achieved the highest levels of success to become the winningest in wellness and wealth, bringing you the winningest from around the globe to help you get to the highest levels of winning to become the winningest in everything you do, leading the way to the winningest to get you the winningest levels in your wellness and wealth. Winningest with Adam Wynns.
Hey, it's Adam Wynns. So, I'm confused. Or let's say everyone's confused at this moment in time because the world has gone crazy. Or at least we're now all aware of the fact that it's gone crazy. I recently witnessed a black man, but a man, who cares if he's black, he's white, he's purple, getting shot in the back by some police officers. Now, again, this all comes down to knowing your rights. And your rights are pretty damn simple. We're all born with equal rights. Black, white, brown, yellow, gray, orange. We're all born with the same rights, okay? And we all have the right to do the things that we want to do, okay? Until it causes someone else harm. Until that's an action that causes someone else harm. So, if I'm sitting here thinking about murdering someone, I didn't cause anybody any harm. Okay, myself maybe, but there's no rules of wrong and right versus yourself. Okay, that's self-care and things you got to know and you got to learn. Okay, but listen, we have a culture right now, and we have an enforcement code that is enforcing things that have yet to be happen. Okay, they've yet to cause a problem. Okay, speeding. There's no accident that happened. Okay, I understand there has to be some controls and some limitations, but it shouldn't be something that if you break that rule, it infringes upon your freedoms. Okay, and a freedom is something that is a right. And it's something that we all have, okay? And it's something when somebody stops your freedom or tries to take your freedom away, it's a wrong, okay? So the black gentleman the other day, or the gentleman the other day, who had got out of jail, who cares? Prior action does not dictate situational ethics, situational morals of what you have to do in a situation when you're either going to do right or you're going to do wrong. Who was wrong here? The police were clearly wrong. Okay? That man didn't want his freedoms taken away. Those police were hell-bent on taking his freedoms away. There was a call on the phone. Ring, ring, ring. There's a guy sleeping in the parking lot, but he's okay. He's not a threat. He's not doing anything wrong. I just want to check and see if he's okay or get him out of the way. Okay, knock, knock, knock. He's talking to the police for 30 minutes. Said, "Yeah, I'm gonna move." Okay, but they want to escalate it into a business transaction. Okay, whereby they get money from you and they steal your rights to freedom. You have the right to sleep in your car. Okay, now if you're in a private place, you're not allowed to be there. It's called trespass. If you're in a public place, there's no rules, no sleeping. He was a customer. If he wants to sleep in his car, if the owners don't want him there, they can ask him to leave. Okay? If after they ask him to leave, the police, if he harms them, yes, they can get the police involved. But he wasn't doing any harm. Okay? Wasn't doing any harm. And again, what is harm? Harm is murder. Harm is rape. Harm is theft. Harm is coercion. Harm is stealing. Okay? You're stealing someone's life. You're stealing someone's freedom. You're damaging somebody's property. You're stealing their property. Okay? He wasn't damaging any property. He wasn't stealing anything. He was just stealing some sleep from himself. He needed to sleep for whatever reason, okay? If he had done some alcohol or drugs, that's his problem. He wasn't harming anybody in the process. He was harming no one until he tried to get his freedoms, started to get his freedoms taken away from him by police officers, okay? That is against your rights, okay? It's your right. Freedom is your right. When you understand that being detained, it's against your rights. When somebody that you don't want to talk to forces you to get in a conversation with them, that's against your rights, okay? You're not harming them. You're not harming them. When someone encroaches upon your space, that's trespass. That's stealing your personal liberty, your personal freedom to associate freely with where you want to go and what you want to do and how you want to be, okay? Not saying it's a good decision. If you're an alcoholic, you got bigger problems, okay? You got bigger problems in here, in your heart, and in your head, okay? But it doesn't constitute stealing someone's rights. That's what happened. First, they stole his right to freedom. Then they stole his right to life. 2 thefts, 2 wrongs. There ain't no right. There's no justification. There's never a justification, okay? Now, if he had come at them violently to begin with, justification. But the first action was taken by the police. They are in the wrong. They are the first ones to violate the other party's rights. Okay, you may not like it that this guy is asleep in his car. Okay, I don't like tons of things, but you can't do anything about it until there's an actual wrong committed. And that's what we all got to learn in this world. We all got to get along. We don't have to like each other. Don't have to like you. Don't have to like the way you smell. Don't have to like the way you look. Don't have to like the way you act. You act like a fool. You're drinking. You're driving. But drinking and driving, it's not wrong. It's within your rights. If you want to drink and drive, you can. Okay? And you should be allowed to go upon your way freely as long as you're not causing harm to another. Okay? Swerving. Did you harm anybody? No, you didn't harm anybody. It's the indication that maybe in the future you might harm somebody. Okay? Now, when we start moving as a society towards all of this preventative, okay, stop and frisk. Well, let's prevent crime from happening to see if this guy has any drugs in his pockets, because maybe in the future he might get into some trouble. Nah, it's not the way it works. That's a slippery, slippery, slippery slope. Slippery slope. Can't be done. It's against your rights. There's nothing more against your rights than stop and frisk. There's nothing more against your rights than DUI. There's nothing more against your personal freedoms, your personal rights, okay? We all have the right to drive a car, okay? We all, even licensing of weapons, okay? We all have the right to protect ourselves. It's in the Second or First Amendment, Second Amendment. It's in one of those amendments. I gotta touch up on my amendments, but it's in there, okay? Let me just look it up, right? Gun Rights Amendment. Okay? The Second Amendment to the United States refers to a pre-existing right to keep and bear arms. Why is it pre-existing? Because the government can't give you the right to protect yourself. Okay? A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay? A license is infringement. You're saying, well, this guy doesn't have a right to protect himself because he did something in the past that I don't like. Okay? Maybe he's got a problem. Maybe he's threatened people. Maybe he's done things. It just doesn't work that way. You cannot do that. You can't dictate who you want to have guns and who you don't. We all have the right to bear arms. Okay? We all have the right to freedom of speech. We all have the right to peacefully assemble. I heard Cuomo, this idiot from CNN, saying that, since when don't people have the right to assemble, rudely? Because as soon as you start to cause harm to others and you're burning shit down, you are infringing upon the rights of that property owner and you are stealing from them. Okay? Yeah, you can go as peaceful as you want to go. But as soon as you get raunchy, as soon as you get throwing gas, lighting things on fire, getting violent, you don't have a right. And you don't have a right to bear arms as soon as you inflict harm upon another who was not attempting to was not inflicting harm upon you. Just because you think that something's going to happen doesn't give you the right to shoot somebody. You never have the right to shoot somebody in the back. You just don't have it. Doesn't exist. They are running away from the situation. Okay, the situation is already de-escalated. It's gone. Why do you want to catch that guy? Why? He didn't harm you. He was asleep in his car. He didn't harm you. He didn't harm your family. He didn't harm your children. He didn't harm nobody. He was peacefully sleeping in his car because he maybe drank too much. Maybe did drugs. Who knows? Maybe he was just ill. But people wanted to make an issue out of it and infringe upon somebody's rights. And you just can't do that to people. Okay? My family had an incident this week. We were peacefully fishing in the middle of the ocean and some guy comes speeding up, jumps out of his boat, starts snorkeling where we're fishing, telling us we can't fish there. We're going to call the Coast Guard. I'm going to inflict harm upon you. I'm going to call the authorities who are going to infringe upon your rights, your freedom to enjoy the waterway, because he was a bad dude making a bad decision and he was wrong. That's the difference between right and wrong. His intention was to harm me. He was taking action to cause harm. He was calling the authorities that he knew the consequences of his actions would be harm. Bad man, bad decision, wrong. You can't do those kind of things to people. Okay, and that's where all this Stacy stuff comes from, or Karen, or whoever it is, Angela, whatever. Okay, you don't put people in harm's way. You don't call people who you know are going to be harmful to hurt them even worse. Okay, now, if you see someone legitimately being harmed, you step in, or then you call the authorities to step in. But the difference in right and wrong here is right causes no harm. Wrong causes harm to another individual. And you're the perpetrator, the first one that starts to cause that harm. It's plain and simple. It's not that difficult, people. You can see it in every situation, right or wrong. Was the cop right or wrong? He's wrong. Simply put, wrong. You don't shoot somebody in the back. You don't shoot somebody when they're running away. You don't shoot somebody who was asleep in their car. He disturbed them. He started infringing upon his freedoms. He tried to lock him up and send him away, take away his freedom and put him into a cage. He's got the right to want to get away from that. We all do. Who wants that for their life? No one. Black, white, anything. Nobody wants that. So was that guy out of character? No. He's within his rights. Some guy comes out because he has some authority that he's given himself. Well, in natural law and God's law, there is no authority. The only authority is God. He's the only authority. And he's the one that makes natural law. That's the law of the universe, the God-given law. The God-given rights that you even see when you look at the gun rights. The Second Amendment refers to a pre-existing right to keep and bear arms, to keep and protect yourself and your family. Okay? God gave us those rights. We have the right to protect ourselves when harm comes our way. Now, that harm looks all different ways. Sometimes that harm is even confusing. Okay? And that's what they're trying to do right now with all this chaos and all this mess. Now, justice, or lack thereof of justice, causes chaos. It does. It does cause chaos in a big way. In a big way. Now, my friend Marcus, he wrote something today. I'm not sure if it's his original thought. None of this stuff is any of our original thoughts. Nothing I'm telling you right now is is my original thought. But Marco here, now Marco Roberts, smart guy. Now, what he said was, I know you care and I can feel you care. The world is hearing you. You see the injustice taking place in our society and you won't tolerate it any longer. So you feel it's your duty to stand up and voice your discontent in any way or shape possible. Now, you add to the hashtag Black Lives Matter to all your posts. You stand in the streets with signs about white privilege. You are convinced you are doing the right thing by standing for those you see being oppressed by society. You're a good human being, and you believe that it's your duty to stop the abuse and the discrimination you see. And I want to applaud you for caring of your heart and of your commitment to make our world better. I recognize your desire for good and the beauty in your actions. But now let me please explain something to you. First, please understand that you are not the first group of people with such a sentiment and with a strong fervor to correct what you see is wrong in our society. Okay? You got to know the right and the wrong and correcting the wrong. There are many, many examples of that happening in human history. It usually ends really bad. Now, please let me explain. From a caring person to another caring person, hear me. Feel my intention as you visualize what I'm about to tell you. What is happening right now is not inviting justice. It's inviting division, chaos, and violence. And unless it stops soon, it won't end well. Let me cite a few examples. During the Russian Revolution, a group of farmers were seen as privileged. White privilege, Russian privilege, white Russian privilege, the white Russian, because they had more land and they were more prosperous. They were called kulaks. Eventually, in accord with the general population sentiment at the time, Stalin had them imprisoned and killed. It led to a great famine. They were the farmers. And historians estimate that 6 million people died because of that, because the farmers were bad, because they were privileged. They had more food. They had more land. They were doing all the work. And look how it worked out for them. Many, 6 million people died from it. In Cambodia, in the 1970s, the general sentiment of the population grew negative against the class of privileged intellectuals. Eventually, the leaders of the Khmer Rouge, Pol Pot, was able to use the discontentment coming from the youth to incite them to kill millions of people. Watch the movie The Killing Fields if you haven't seen it. It's horrific. Now, in the early 80s, Rhodesia elected a new leader, Robert Mugabe. We all know about him, who promised to correct the wrong of the white people had done to all the black community. What ensued was also murders, expropriation of land and businesses. Eventually, the country went through hyperinflation, changed its name to Zimbabwe. To this day, nearly 40 years later, and millions of lives destroyed and families separated, the economy is still in shambles and people are poorer than ever before, and they haven't fixed anything. In the 1990s, the Hutus of Rwanda killed millions of Tutsis after the fury of the population had been ignited by just a few leaders who felt the Tutsi minority had too many privileges for too many years. Watch the movie Hotel Rwanda to find out more. Now, I remember a friend of mine in Rwanda telling me how people walked into towns with machetes and slaughtered women and children just because they belonged to a Tutsi group. It's kind of what we're seeing in Seattle right now. Some strange behavior of division. Now, then I can talk about the German Holocaust. But I guess we don't have to remind you about that one, right? Watch the movie Schindler's List again. Because, my friends, I heard you. You want justice and you care about others. We all do. I know that you have nothing but good intentions. But as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Your good intentions are being harnessed by people who want to destroy us. All they want is to create chaos so that they can use it to destroy us. Look at what's happening right now. Look at what your hashtags and black squares are supporting. Do you really want this? Many innocent people have died already. Many lives ruined already. Many people are in despair with little hope for the future. Many children are afraid. Is that really what you want? Stop supporting dissension. Stop supporting segregation. Stand for unity as one people. Don't be complicit in the madness. Don't support the dissenting movements. Instead, stand up for unity, where all lives matter, and raise your voice as loud as you can. Do not create division and chaos, but to incite love, respect, and unity. What is starting here, or what you're supporting with your black squares around your Facebook images, will not lead to peace and more communal society, but rather to chaos, violence, and more destruction. If you don't believe me, look at history. Reach out to your brothers and sisters from Russia, from Cambodia, from Zimbabwe, from Rwanda, from Germany, or ask the Jews or any other member of any other nation that has suffered the consequences of a population wanting to point out injustices by using division and violence to make a point. This is 101, people, of a society's destruction. They're trying to destroy us. Now, many lives right here in America, where we sought refuge after their country was reverted to madness. Many of my friends, they're up in arms right now, and they can't believe what they're seeing happening in America. Ask them to tell you their story, or look it up for yourself. And if you are a member of such a nation, and you were directly affected by the impact of similar conflicts in your country of origin, please comment and let the world know about the negative consequences of population unrest. Let's not repeat the mistakes of other nations. Let's learn from them. And instead, people are awakening a beast right now with no plan on how to control it or tame it once it's loose. Okay? The youthful energy of our young people is being manipulated by the negative forces in our country and other countries. And I implore you, my friends, if you care about justice, stop creating division in hope that it will one day correct the wrongs you see in our society. It won't. Stand for unity. Stand for the human race. Stand for your brothers and sisters of all creeds and colors. May we all make the best decisions to continue the expansion of one of the best experiments in human history, and that's the United States of America. And that's from Marco Robert, and it's genius. You guys, wake up here. Learn your rights. Learn how your rights are being trampled. Learn about this decisiveness. Learn about this division that's going on. We're all Americans here, okay? It's the only country in the world. I can't go to Africa and become African. Any African can come to America and become American. I know Africa's not a country, it's a continent, okay? But I can't go to Zimbabwe and become Zimbabwean. I can't go to Germany and become German. I know, I've tried. I've lived there. Can't go to Russia and become Russian. But any Russian can come here and become American. And that's the beauty of this country. That's the beauty of our people. And that's the beauty of our system, okay? Now, we've been led astray. A lot of injustice going on. A lot of injustice, okay? The way to do that is to stand up for your rights, okay? We're seeing it now. We're seeing it. But you got to stay strong together. You got to stay together. No division, okay? Now you know your rights. Now you know what we're working on, okay? Work for it, okay? Unity, people. Unity, know your rights. Peace. All right, this is Adam Wynns. This is the winningest. Be the winningest in everything you do. All right, have a good one.